All right. Whilst you're getting ready, thank you all very much for coming this evening. It is on Tuesday, 4 weeks until Christmas, so the year is almost or maybe already over. Still, we are trying to celebrate our annual event, which is called fleetster Reloaded. Why it's called fleetster Reloaded, why it's the Back to Electric edition, and what surprises we have tonight, you'll see soon. But as a little warm-up, let's go to Menti. And the idea behind this is we thought, when we looked at our participant list, there are so many fleet, mobility, OEM experts in here, and there are so many hot topics that people are discussing tonight. So let's check what you think about them so that everybody in here knows actually what the state of mind is. And I'm actually very much looking forward to the results. So, before we go deep into Fleetster and Reloaded, let's check the pulse of tonight. A little warm-up question in the beginning is, how many kilometers did you travel to get here this evening? And once you're done, then please look up so that I can see if everything's working. You can wave if it's not working, and here we go. 25 people, 28 have already said something. Okay, 150, not too bad. My second question was supposed to be, could you have traveled electric, but I found that a bit too complicated. So, and I also didn't want to spend too much time. So, lots of people nearby. Then the nearer distance, not so many, then some who traveled quite a bit, and some who traveled very far, more than 500 kilometers. Thank you very much for making the effort. Next question. So, after the warm-up, tonight, I like competitions actually, so there is a little competition in here, and we will have 4 winners, and those 4 winners, if they came by car, they will get another cleaning tonight. So the first 4 who win this contest will get another cleaning. If you didn't come by car, you can give it to somebody else or step out of it. The cleaners will be at the entrance waiting for you, so you will see the winners at the very end of this. Here comes the first question. What is the theme of tonight? Yeah, you can choose your players, exactly. Take your time. And yeah, if you don't put your real name, it's going to be hard to find you later, right? So if you want that cleaning, it would make sense if it's actually you. So let's get started. What is the theme of Fleetster Reloaded? Is it back to sharing, back to tracking, back to electric, or back to platform? So that's an easy start. We'll have more difficult questions later, but we want to see if you're all awake. And let's see, yes, most people are awake or did read our emails. Okay, so you scored, but the most important questions are yet to come, so stay concentrated. Oh yeah. Bell and Bill. Okay, Agent X, this is all going to be difficult to track you guys down later. We'll see. Okay, then, what is your background? Quick question. Who are you? So we would like to see what people are attending this evening, and for you actually to see who is sitting next to you. And we have the majority family and friends. I love that. Okay, no, it's changing now. Mobility services, that makes more sense. Yeah, car manufacturers. I'll give you some time. Mobility services is about to win. Okay, here we go. So first mobility, then we have a lot of family and friends, car manufacturers, leasing services, and hardware and technology. Fantastic. Let's move on. Then the next question is, why are you here? So you can give 100 points distributed overall. So why are you here? And what are you most interested in? New Fleetster features, market for mobility products, networking, food and drinks, Fleetster insights. Who did not see this coming? And I want to sell my product, we also have. I think, don't we? Selling my product. Okay, fantastic. Food and drinks, yeah. Glad we prepared networking. Good one. Come on. Yes, there we go. All right. Selling my product. If the selling my product people could please raise their hand. And Henry, could you take all of them out through the door, please? Thank you very much. All right, networking. We will make that happening. Perfect. Thanks. Now we're getting a bit more focused, and now we need your expert knowledge. So in our market, in the mobility sphere, there are certain trends noticeable, and we think that Daimler has actually put them in very nice words. Other OEMs and other players have used different ones, but in the end they all come down to the same idea. And Daimler called it the CASE topics. So it's first of all connected cars, autonomously driving cars, the concept of sharing, and the concept of e-mobility. So that's the introduction. When we talk about those, we always mean market ready. We mean big. We mean mass data. We don't mean the first start of it. And now comes the question. What do you think will change the automotive industry the most? What you choose first is going to be your highest rank. What you choose second is going to be your second highest, and so on and so forth. So with which of these topics? Electric cars, autonomously driving cars, and we mean like really autonomous, like level 4 and 5, where you maybe don't even need a steering wheel anymore. Connected, we mean big data, like that players like us can access all of the cars. And for sharing, we mean, well, a lot of sharing anytime, underground, difficult connectivity, and so on. Okay, 18 people have made their choice. Okay, it's rising. Autonomous is in the lead. Electric comes, is picking up, 36, 38. Okay, whoa. Okay, well, that's quite close. Right. I mean, the good news is we do and will talk about all of those, but autonomous. I have to say I saw that coming, and I still find it very interesting what you said. So this is what this group of people thinks will change the automotive industry the most. By the way, the data we will send to you via email later if you're interested. Okay, that's important. How many years until these technologies are mass market ready? If you think they're already mass market, then you put 0. If you think it's 10 years, you put 10. 1 year 1, and so on and so forth. And we have the first one. So, well, the question is, how long will it take until they're mass market ready? So the longer you think they take, the further you move to the right. Okay, autonomous will take some time, we think. Level 5, for those of you, so level 5 autonomous means no steering wheel, and 4 is taking care of a lot of the driving that a car does, but for the very difficult parts, the driver still needs to do his job of driving and help the car. What I find interesting is that nobody thinks that sharing is there now. Because tonight's presentation will be a lot about timing and market readiness. And I would hope the market is ready for sharing, because that's what we do. But, well, okay. So autonomous level 5 will take some time, that's no surprise. Level 4 also, that's also no surprise. Connected, yeah, I mean, that depends how many cars will be introduced in the market with the right technology. Electric will still take some time from what you say, and sharing is the closest. Interesting, almost done. Next question will be, do fleet managers need digital tools to transition to electric mobility? So if you are operating a lot of cars, do you think you can just switch your fleets around and know exactly which cars to replace or not? Yes, they do. Okay, thank you very much for not letting me down on this, because otherwise I could go home right now. Yeah. Thank you, okay. And now we are getting back for you to possibly win the cleanings. So be focused and have some knowledge about fleetster, and maybe a good guess. In which year was the first fleetster software prototype released? We said that in one of our emails. If you read them carefully, you might be lucky, otherwise have a good guess. And be quick. Okay, time's up. Yeah, so 2012 would have been right. And now let's see who was also fast with this question, because this gives extra points. And here we see, oh, Tiger Baby Ricarda, very nice. Okay, oh. Fantastic. We'll put the results on the big screen later, so you will still have time to digest and find it, and then we'll take you to the mic cleaners, and your cars will be cleaned tonight. If you're very late, then unfortunately it won't happen, so do it right after the presentation. Okay, that was interesting. Hopefully everybody's awake, all warmed up and prepped up. Let's get started. Fleetster Reloaded in the electric edition. This is the 5th time we're doing this in the 6th year. We are getting back to our topic, the topic that actually was the founding idea of this company. And how it all started was after I was working for some time in investment banking and then later for quite some time in management consulting. I had a lot to do with the topic of electric mobility. And finally I got to expose to a company called Tesla, which today a lot of people know, but back then they had 1 and then soon after 2 employees for Europe. And apparently those 2 were stationed in Munich and they opened their first European shop. And we came across each other and found out through an event that we hosted that there are a lot of people who are requesting Tesla events, but Tesla has no cars and no people. So we thought that's actually a good idea to get started with the subject in a time where it wasn't very clear which business model to follow when you want to do electric mobility. But there was obviously a high demand for people, and no, not people, for companies who were interested in having a Tesla at their event. And I have to say, I liked it. So I found a way to get investors on board, buy a Tesla, and we did a lot of events and actually won most of the European e-rallies. No, actually we won them all, but not all the time. What's important though is where was the market back then? So what you're looking at here is the German electric car market, and this is not that there is 1,000 more or so, this is the number. So there was 1,588 electric cars registered in Germany, and we were one of them. So that was already our first contribution to the topic, which should tell you there was effectively no market whatsoever. We didn't really care because the events were running just the way we wanted them to, but it's interesting to see what happened when we started with software. So we did this for roughly 3 years, and in 2012, as 9 of you knew, we launched our first prototype. Due to some technical issues back then, and the short story is we effectively built cloud software before there was a real cloud infrastructure there, so that's like you're building a car without roads. It was a bit bumpy, so the first prototype never really made it to life, but in contrast, the market has risen to 4,500, which again was nothing, and we were actually hoping that the whole subject would soon accelerate. We built our first live production version where we changed a lot of things from the prototype which didn't work, so we made it better. And already started to have more than just electric cars into the system. But what's important to know, in 2013, we had car sharing software for electric cars ready. But what did the market do? Well, not much, 7,000 cars. So we were already getting a bit nervous to say, is this really the right thing to do? And then all of our customers or big partners started to say, actually, we would like your software to do so many other things than what it does. So not just do the thing better, but actually do many more things. And the architecture wasn't fit for it. We built it to do electric car sharing. That was what it's supposed to do. So that was difficult. And we built our next prototype, and that wasn't a prototype, that is the big fleetster platform. And that time we built the architecture in a way that the car sharing module was just one little module, but there could be many others. So it wasn't necessary to always do something with sharing. We could do many other things at the same time. And we looked again at the market, and what did we see? Nothing. Because if you look at 12,000 cars, electric cars, and you're trying to have this as your market, as your business model, then if the 12,000 cars, and let's say you can charge 15 euros, that's what we charge for electric car sharing, but they are not all car sharing cars. But let's assume they are all fit for it, and you look what you can make in 12 months, then you end up with a market size of 2.2 million euros. And that is if you have all electric cars in Germany in your software and they all pay for your service, right? So totally unrealistic. So effectively, there was no market. And we looked at it and said, okay, now we built this big platform, lucky us, because if we had built the next version just for electric car sharing, we probably should have said in 2014, that's it. You know, no market, no money, what shall we do with it? We cannot just wait, people want their salaries. So our big bet to say we built a platform 1.5 years before was what saved us back then, because that platform, and if you put that in contrast to the real market, so if this is all electric cars back then this is all cars in Germany. So you see, played no role. So we had to find other things. And the good news was there were big companies who actually said, we want to launch mobility services. We don't need your electric pure car sharing. That's not exactly what we need. But could you maybe have a car sharing where we can give our customers, in this case Smart, an app where they can share their vehicles with their neighbors and friends. We said, no, not exactly, but we can build that, yeah, why not? And they said, and could you also maybe have trunk deliveries, so Amazon packages delivered overnight into the trunk of your cars? We said, well, never done that before, but why not, you know? So our market isn't ready, and if yours is, or at least if you have the funds to do so, let's go for it. So we built Smart Ready 2, which is now in the hands of Smart, but we went live with them at a couple of thousand cars, 3 countries, and so that was going quite fine. So we could further develop our service, leaving the initial idea of electric car sharing aside. Not letting it die though, so it was intact. There were customers using it throughout the time. We found other partners who were also interested in doing something more, which I will tell later. I have a little case study for you prepared, but Van2Share was also one of the partners who said, actually, we like what you do, but it's not exactly what we need, but could you also do this and that? You'll see what that is. So that's what we did back then. We had our big projects on top. And then, obviously, if you are the processor of data and you happened to start growing quite a bit in the year of 2018, then you had a lot of fun because that was the year of DSGVO, GDPR, data security. That did cost us quite some time and was actually the focus of the whole company for quite a number of months and effectively still is, but obviously the intensity has gone down a lot because it's now there. And now for us was the question of scaling. Now we wanted to say, okay, platform ready, lots of services ready, let's grow this company. Let's not do more software, let's actually get it to market. And then we had to say, and actually this is what we asked ourselves this year, what are we now doing? What's our focus? What are we trying to push the most next year? Well, first of all, we looked at who are we, right? What are we doing? Well, what we found out is that most of the people who work for us are software engineers. So we are an absolute tech company. That's what we do most, yeah? We develop software. And what do we do it for? And what does our service do? Well, we do mobility, software, and technology. And in order to find out what it is that we wanted to do next and how we found out that with the global reach and the many users we already had at this point, what would be the next consecutive step? We said, we look at our data. And what we found out is we go electric. And what we saw in our data was, for example, that in last year we had 25 million kilometers driven with our software, which is actually 600 times around the world. Our customers have roughly, those are estimates, spent 200 million liters of fuel, which is actually not good, but we'll get to that later. That's actually 2.5 of the largest tankers that can go through the Panama Canal. And we have, or our customers have used 500,000 kilowatt hours of electricity, which is 157 German households. Not that much yet, but you'll see that it's actually quite interesting. We looked at the business cases, so people do different things with fleetsters. Some do corporate car sharing in their companies, some do public car sharing on the countryside, some do public car sharing in cities, and some do some other things, but that was too complicated. So what I think you know is that a normal privately used car has a utilization rate of 1 to 3%. So best case 3%. So that means our corporate car sharing cars with 6% are already not doing too bad because there's also a lot of hours where people effectively don't need cars at all, at night for example. The public car sharers in the countryside have actually quite a tough job, and it's proven here, and we'll later get to the case studies, that some companies are actually quite successful with that, even though most people say it's hardly possible, but it is. And then the ones who actually have their cars in smaller or medium-sized cities where they're very well located have partially ridiculous utilization rate, much higher than this. But some of their cars are so highly utilized you wouldn't have believed it. So I averaged it out and took the whole city fleet, which is still quite remarkable, I would say.